Welcome back to the show, everybody. We have another Ask 5 interview with a friend of the show, David Squier, who will explain his journey. But his journey has taken him from agent through every stage of the way. And he's back in a new position, being a broker, kind of a coaching broker, which is the way I see us. And we're excited to have him talk about what's happening in his world and to Ask 5.
So join us today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
You've reached the WB&L Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. And now your hosts, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WB&L Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. This is episode 278. You can find all of those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jan O'Brien, you got to call him friend of the show. I wanted to call him friend of the show.
Well, say it again.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking with David, friend of the show. Okay, I guess it really wasn't that much fun.
I feel like if we were to look at guests that we've had multiple times, David's probably at that top of that list.
He might win the prize for that. Hey, before we get to that, I wanted to point out, or just call out, that this weekend, I believe it's the 10th, is the start of Lunar New Year 2024, Year of the Dragon. So peace and prosperity to everyone, please. Thank you very much. Because if you didn't get it right on, January's New Year, you got another chance coming up here next week. So there you are.
If I had a dragon head back here to celebrate that, but I think I do. I think I have a dragon crystal head back here. And also happening this weekend in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
58. Hardly worth mentioning.
Who are you rooting for, Jan O'Brien?
I don't know. I want a good game. These are not my favorite teams that are in there. There's great stories on both sides. So the city is abuzz with everything Super Bowl at the moment. And everywhere you go, you see nothing but, they're trying to, it's so expensive. I saw that the tickets went down from, they went down. So the average price now is $9,000 for a ticket. It's the most expensive Super Bowl to go to. There's only 50,000 seats in this stadium, which is smaller than a lot of stadiums around the country, but it's Las Vegas, baby. And everybody wants to come here. So there's all kinds of events happening everywhere where you can go in and have the experience. There's pop-up places, NFL activations where up and down the strip you can stop and take pictures and do things. So it's really interesting because it's set up to have the stadium is right there, that everybody could have an experience without having to pay $9,000 for a ticket. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Next week on the podcast, we will be going over the list of the commercials, because that is actually our...
Okay, that's it. Oh, I think I've heard 7 million for 30 seconds.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you right now, and we'll talk about it again next week, there will never be one to me that ever tops Smart Park.
I knew you were going to say that one. Smart Park!
It got Smart Park! All right, we're getting way off track here.
We are, but whatever. Here we go.
Let's bring on friend of the show, David Squier.
There, we got it in numerous times, David Squier.
Yes, you did, and you bring me in laughing, of course, right? So no better way, right?
There you go.
So good morning.
Good morning. We're so happy to have you back on the show, friend of the show that you are. So we always do this in case we got a lot, probably new listeners that maybe didn't hear you the last time you were on. So why don't you take a few minutes and just sort of tell your real estate story? How, just give us a couple-minute version of the key highlights and where it's brought you right now in your real estate career.
Sure. Real quick, before I do, can I ask why we don't do this anymore? Really? What happened?
That's a great point. We usually do that. We kind of do that silently, right, Matt?
Yeah. We used to actually play the music, so there was that was going on.
So I thought you guys were tricking me, so I would be the only one going, duh, duh, duh.
That's funny. Oh,
so my journey, it's interesting, exciting, a lot of great things in my career. I started in 1988 in real estate in Las Vegas, and have seen really pretty much everything that you can see in the real estate market. I've seen the best of the best and the biggest challenges possible. And I laugh because when I got into, and nowadays we're worried about interest rates, right? Mm-hmm. When I got in the business, Jen, you remember interest rates were, I think, 13% when I first got in the business, right. And those were down. And when they hit 10%, when we broke 10%, we were jumping on our beds. We were so excited. Oh my gosh, 10% interest rates. Woohoo! Right. So we don't really have it as bad as we might think. So my journey has been great. I've done a lot of resale. I did new homes for a bit. I was an owner, a broker, a coach for many years. Worked on the corporate level with some great people. That was a great experience. And so that has kind of landed me where I'm at now in a broker coaching role, which is really what I love. And so I've kind of seen it all, seen the best of the best and the biggest challenges. And of course, as we all have, I've learned the most from those challenges. And that's really what I've brought into coaching and into my business that's helped me.
And you've been, an individually producing agent. You've had big teams, right? So you really have done a little of all of it. And so so you come back where you have been doing production and you've been doing coaching for the last several years, wouldn't you say, since leaving the corporate, executive level that you were at our all of us in our previous company.
Yep.
What's excited you most about coming full circle in a broker role, that you bring all this journey of what you've done, and you've done that position before. So how is it different this time, and what are you enjoying about it?
Well, it's different. It's funny. I've reflected a lot on that over the last few weeks, and I think it's really cool how it's evolved. All of this, to your point, all of this, cumulative experience and knowledge and things that I've learned, and through coaching, I've learned so much in coaching because I'm out there coaching different businesses and learning about what they're doing and sharing it with others. And so I feel like I've had this big growth spurt in my career where everything just kind of came together. And then I was blessed to land a broker role that is primarily coaching. It's not your traditional role. It's more coaching than it is brokering. And I just love that because it's allowed me to take all of this experience and all of this knowledge and again, challenges, and put it all together, and it just works. It really works. It's been a lot of years coming together, and it's just a perfect balance now.
Let's do a shout out to where you're at and what your company is, and to the great Bob and Molly Hamrick, who I adore and love. But tell us a little bit about your company, where you're at. It's one of the branches of this company in Las Vegas, in case there's anybody out there listening in Las Vegas that wants a little of what David's offering.
Yeah, I'm at Coldwell Banker, and I'm in the Centennial Hills campus. Notice we call them campuses and not offices. And there's a reason for that. It just happened. I've been a friend of Bob Hamrick since my first day in real estate. As a matter of fact, I walked into Prudential Americana Group in May of 1988, and he was the very first person I saw. In fact, one of my first brokers at that same company happened to be Miss Jan O'Brien, who coached and mentored me, and we've worked together ever since. So
that's where we met, the Prudential days. That's exactly right.
That's correct.
We weren't Prudential at that time, though. We were Americana Better Homes and Gardens. That's right.
Yeah, Americana Group. So that's I've known Bob since then. I've watched him kind of from afar, and Molly, his wife Molly, they're amazing people. I've watched him kind of from afar and as a competitor. And always was in awe of what they were doing. And until I really got over here, I couldn't figure it out. And it really is about the agent. And I know so many companies say it's about the agent. This is definitely an agent-focused company. Bob and Molly have taken interest in every single agent in the company, from brand new agents to the top producers. They are really in tune and in touch. It's a closer knit family environment than I've ever seen in the industry. It's really powerful. And then when you add in the coaching and the training and the support team that they have, it's hard to beat. It really is an amazing company. So I am blessed to be here, fired up. Everyone here has been so welcoming. It's just a great experience.
So you're impacting more people than on the one-on-one, being in coaching and so forth, in the size of your office and so forth. So what are the things that, let's talk about what everyone in the real estate industry is dealing with right now. And that is, frankly, in my opinion, a continuation of what we had last year. Everybody's waiting for, everyone from our agents to buyers and sellers who have this pent-up demand are waiting for this magical, couple things just that we've been hearing are going to happen in the last 2 years, which hasn't happened, which is rates coming down to some magic number that makes everybody comfortable again, and or prices coming down. Now, David, you are a student of the market. We have carried on that tradition of the weekly thing because we just think it's so important to stay in tune with what's going on. So
Absolutely.
What do you feel is happening? What's your interpretation of what's happening? We can stay on the local Las Vegas market because I think it's very similar everywhere. And what are you doing to help impact your agents to adjust and adapt and to be very productive in this environment?
Well, again, staying in it like we always, Matt, here we go. Here we go, Matt. Jan and I talking about knowing your numbers in your market, right? Jan, I want to point out something that you said that I think is important. And you said keep it on a local level. And I think that's important for agents, no matter what market they're in, there's a lot of information available on a national level. However, what's most relevant to the people in your market is local. You need to be a local expert and know your local market, what's going on. And as we led into this show, what was Jan O'Brien talking about? What's happening in our local market, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So being an expert in your local market is important. And so what I'm seeing is, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of factors. I'm seeing the effects of a unbelievable expansion over the last couple of years. Particularly last year was one of the biggest years of expansion that we've seen in new businesses, new resorts, people coming to town. It's unbelievable the amount of growth that we had last year in that sector. So now we should start and are starting to feel the effects of all of that draw over the last couple of years. And the affordability index has been a factor because we did see prices increase. Last year, we only increased about 5% across the board on average. So it wasn't a major increase in pricing. However, interest rates played a giant factor in that affordability index. And if you look at the affordability index, it's just simple economics. It's what's the average income, what's the average sales price, and what are interest rates. And that dictates your affordability index. And can the average person afford a home, or is it smarter to rent? So what we're seeing is because interest rates have started to fall slightly, we've seen that affordability index balance out a little bit. One thing that happened here locally is the culinary unit, which makes up a big part of our income in the Valley here. The culinary union has negotiated for a much bigger salary. Yep. And so guess what that's going to do? It's going to affect our average income. In turn, if interest rates continue to trend down, as we hope they do, and we think they will over the year, the affordability index will get better. Now, of course, we'll have price increasing, and we have to take that into consideration as well. However, things are looking much, much better than they did 1 year ago at this time. So we're forecasting a very, very good year in real estate in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So that's what I see.
So, I think that CB always has done a great job with marketing and being, Bob was always ahead of the numbers and educating the agents. Is that something you're continuing to do, or what new things are you bringing in that maybe your campus of agents yes. Hasn't seen, or you're helping them how to stay focused on getting out there and finding the people that do want to buy and sell homes right now?
Well, it's staying current, staying relevant, and education. That the knowing our market is a big thing for our company, and Bob does it famously. In fact, we have a whole department dedicated to keeping mm-hmm. our agents informed on market trends, exactly what's going on in our market, not on a local level only, on a national level as well. However, our agents, I think, get the best education on exactly what's going on in the market. In turn, they're out there speaking the right things to their clients. They're out there with the consultative mindset, and they're educating their clients. And what we're starting to see is because they have that mindset, they are aware of the trends and what's going on. We're starting to see our agents help people off the fence a little more. right? So our agents are confident. They're speaking the right things out there. They're educating their clients. And what I always say, Jen, is the beauty of us being educated and being experts, as we are in our marketplace, is our clients are able, because of that, our clients are able to make better decisions, smarter decisions before anyone else does. While everyone else is waiting for the trends to unfold, we see them well before they unfold. We educate our clients, and they're able to make smarter decisions before anyone else does.
Go a little deeper in that, David. When you say you have a department that's actually keeping them informed, how are they doing that? What are the tools that the department is using to inform the agents? Because that's easier said than done.
So we are pulling so many metrics daily and creating reports. And so Bob does a wonderful job. I mean, I've never seen it done better. A job of holding informative company meetings, right? So we have the entire company together for all of our campus meetings. So our sales meetings once a week, we do in person and we do Zoom. But Bob always brings a section of the market in, and we look at different things that other people aren't looking at. In fact, I just talked to we have a department dedicated to pulling those numbers, and I had a question about how many times the school zones. Jan, this is a really important thing. If you have a client looking for a specific property in a specific school zone,
you have that right now.
Here, how many times, Jan, over the last 15 years, do you think the school zones have rezoned and changed?
They do. They change.
So that was a conversation I had with our guy that's dedicated to finding these numbers and making sure we stay on top of these statistics. And I asked him, hey, is there a possibility that we can get a history of how many times the schools have rezoned over the last, say, 10 years? So when we have a client that comes to us and says, I want to find a school in this zone for my children to continue to go to this school, we should be aware of what's happened in the evolution of zoning, because it is constantly changing, and let our clients know, hey, currently it's zoned here, but if you look at the history of zoning, here's what's happened. Please be aware that this could change in the near future, because we are constantly growing, especially in these outer areas like the Northwest. We are growing like crazy. Schools will rezone. So what do we have? We have our guy pull the numbers and provide a report to us, so we can educate our clients better in making smarter decisions.
That's super smart.
That's awesome.
It's always nice to have a guy pulling your numbers.
Yeah, doing the research.
Tom McClellan's his name, and he is. I can't get enough of him, and I feel like I'm taking too much of his time when I'm with him. It is just, I just feel smarter. It's like spending time with Matt. And remember us going in Matt's office and just saying, yeah, Matt. And then I'd come out of Matt's office, I'd be about an inch or two taller, a little smarter.
But, that's your jam, though. That's your jam, and that's cool. I mean, you know what I mean? You're able to, it's great to be someplace you are even more empowered to, go down that path and get the word out. That's fantastic.
You know more about that than so many other people, because it was an awakening to me, as Matt knows, going back into the business. I kind of knew what most agents know: cursory, top line level marketing stats and what's going on. But you helped me dig in, and I've got more resources now that I really feel like I have my finger on the pulse of what's happening. I have one other question before we jump into the Ask Five, and because you and I had a conversation recently, David, that I thought was very compelling. And the question is really about, have you seen, or your agents seen, any fallout regarding the NAR commission lawsuits, NAR et al. Lawsuits, and now we have a similar copycat type one that's popped up in Las Vegas, in Nevada, actually, as a whole. Have you, what are your agents doing, or what's your brokerage doing to stay ahead of that, to get everybody ready to deal with any objections when it comes to negotiating commission?
Well, we're talking about it, that's for sure. And we're keeping our agents current, that's for sure, right? Because I know for a fact that some brokerages are kind of burying their heads in the sand and hoping for the best. And we're not doing that. So we are educating our agents. We are asking our agents what they're seeing. We're listening to what our agents are saying, because sometimes they have their thumb on the pulse more so than we can, because they're right there in the trenches. They're seeing it every single day. So we're asking them what they're seeing and hearing, and taking all that into consideration, and sharing and educating and growing together. So that is one stance. And we are seeing some things change in the marketplace. Commissions, especially the co-op commissions, are getting. We're starting to see some things change there, where there might be a lesser co-op. There may be a graduated. Jan, you and I talked about it. There are certain agents that are already jumping ahead and changing the game, right?
So attempting to change the game,
right?
Attempting to change the game, which is what, there's always some people that are a little, I don't know what's the word, they like to be agitators or chaos,
disruptors. Remember that word?
Disruptors, that's the word. Thank you. That is very way back there. And they want to
reason.
And we are seeing that, right?
So not in a good way, unfortunately. And so, for example, Jan, what we're seeing happen now is the buyer's agent that has a buyer's brokerage agreement with their buyer. Say it's a 2.5% or a 3% buyer broker agreement, and there's a 1.5% co-op for a property. We show it, which means if we open that door and show it to them, then we have agreed to the co-op commission. However, now our buyers say, if I buy this property, I potentially will have to come up with an additional 1% in commission to close the property because of a buyer's brokerage agreement. So now that gives us the ability to call the listing agent and say, look, my buyer has asked me to call you and discuss this with you, because if he does move forward with this property, he or she could potentially be on the hook for some additional commission, which changes the game for them. So would your seller consider increasing the commission to cover that difference so my buyers can make an offer? And we are very successful with that at this point. It's happening. It has to be in writing. In fact, there's a LVR form for it.
Yeah, there is actually. I forgot about that.
And it has to be in writing, and it has to be from the buyer. It cannot be commission breath based, right?
Yeah.
It can't be our decision. However, it is a substantial thing for a buyer that goes in that has a buyer's brokerage agreement, and the commission is at 1%, and they may be on the hook for the rest. And so there's a negotiation point that's happening now, and I think that piece is going to be, it's like creative financing, Jan. What did we do when times were tough? We got creative with financing, right?
Exactly.
What did we do when interest rates went up? We got creative with financing. We started negotiating costs, because buyers' closing costs from the seller, so on and so forth. So what we're seeing is a little more creativity out there, and also what we're coaching our agents on doing is staying positive. Don't worry about it. Come from abundance. Don't come
there
from
you go.
I love it. That's probably the best answer to that question. That we've been asking a lot of people that, because you're really boots on ground, having it really happen. And I do think there are a lot of people across the country, broker wise and whatnot, agents don't want to nothing to see here. I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist, and I'm not going to get prepared for it. You already got people looking up our brokerage agreement. To me, it's all about disclosure and coming from that place, and this too shall pass, and we'll adjust, and we'll go through some little chaos and creativity, but we're going to get right back to where we were, and it's just in the way things are disclosed and addressed is what's going to change.
And Jen, is change ever going to stop happening?
No.
It's just the nature of the beast. It's a part of our business.
Yep.
And we're resistant to change. That is a big challenge for us. So I think, I always remain optimistic. And look, one thing we know this for a fact. No matter what, buyers need to buy houses and sellers need to sell houses. Yep. And that's never going to change.
That's right.
Embrace it. Embrace the change, adjust and adapt, find those people, and find your joy. Matt, let's go to Ask 5. I'm all about finding the joy, man.
And find your joy. All right, first question in the Ask 5. David, what's your best idea for how you can really amp up your engagement with your SOI and your past clients?
So I would love to come up with something new and cool. And you know what? I'm just not going there.
Yeah, I don't need to do that.
Because I have been around the block once or twice. And I've also had I've been fortunate enough to engage with different business owners through coaching. So not just coaching a real estate agent or a real estate team, which are a little bit different, those two. Mm-hmm. However, I've coached other businesses, and not all people businesses either, mostly people businesses. However, I've seen how different businesses operate, and I've seen how some of the challenges in maybe a different business. However, when it all boils down to it, the thing that works across the board is the basics, the core fundamentals. So if I tell you that there's something new and exciting to engage with your database, I'm lying. There's not. So you know what the number one thing is for me engaging with my database and my SOI? It is data, by the way, Jen. I looked it up.
I was trying to throw that in database.
So that is an argument in my office now. Not an argument. It's funny because whenever I say data, someone else says data immediately. So
database.
So
27 minutes in, who would have thought it would have taken that long?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I can't believe you didn't set him up for database question. All right, go ahead. We digress.
So
wait a minute. What is the best way? What is the basic best way to stay in touch with your database?
The best way is to do what everyone else doesn't do, and that is get off your lazy butt, pick up the phone, take them out to lunch, send them a note card. My number one favorite touch that I think is the most meaningful that no one does anymore is write a note card. I have rules for note carding. I mean, there's a one way and one way only to send out note cards. And I mean, it's specific. It's a personal handwritten note card. You write your own message. Don't buy one that says thank you. You can't write thank you. Write thank you yourself. Make it personal. Bring up something personal that connects you with that person. Do it in colored ink. Don't do it in black ink. Make it more personal. Ask for business. Write your phone number in the note card because they're more likely to keep the note card than they are to keep your business card, and they'll pin it up on their fridge. I can't count the number of listings I've taken and walked in and my note card was up on their fridge, right? So put it in an envelope, handwrite the to and return address, put a big, bright, bold stamp on it, send it out to them, and guess what? They're going to open it. It's going to mean something to them. Matt, I still have the note card that you sent me when you called me Proby. Remember?
Yep. Oh, I do remember that.
I still have that note card. They mean something. Matt, I know, Jan, I know you guys both embrace this, but no one does. No, you'd be surprised at how little of our industry embraces sending a handwritten personal note card. So that would be the one that I think most people overlook, and it's simple and it's effective.
Yeah,
love that answer. All right, question number 2, but that was beautiful. That the way to do the note card. So, tactic for generating new business to get people to get added to that database. What would that be?
Well, I guess tactic. So, what I've been focused on, we're excited about a new year. 2024 is an exciting year. We're already seeing things trend in the right direction. So, of course, our big focus to kick off this year is database tune-up, right? Let's get our database in order, get it dialed in. However, I still see, no matter what your personality style is, I still see people that aren't sharing with the world that they own a real estate business, right? So that has got to be everyone's primary tactic. We talk about it. We've heard about it since day one that you have to, don't be a secret agent. Remember that,
What do you do for a living, David?
I own a real estate business.
Okay.
So getting out there and letting the world know that you own a real estate business is the best. You can be lead generating every single hour of every single day by just letting the world know that you own a real estate business. It's that simple. Scream it from the rooftops, scream it from the minarets, screaming from the minarets, as Dave Matthews would sing. Let the world know. So do people have a good opening script about real estate? Do you remember my favorite one, Jen, about letting someone know that I own a real estate business?
I don't remember the exact words.
Well, let's say you're at dinner and the server is great, right? And you say, you just simply say to them, wow, you would be great in my business.
Yep. It's a great recruiting tactic, by the way.
And just let it lay there. And then what do they say?
What business are you in?
Oh, I thought I mentioned that. I own a real estate business. Really? You think
Really?
I do real estate? And then, of course, that lends itself to how's the market? And then, of course, I say, funny you should ask. I study the market, right? So that I think is overlooked by all of us. Even the seasoned agents don't tell enough people that they own a real estate business. It's that simple. If you want to be building your database every single day, you have to tell people that you own a real estate business. Everywhere you go, ask for a business card. If send them here's one of my favorites. Oh, darn it, I just ran out of business cards. Let me text you my V card.
There you go.
Right? Get their information, but tell the world you own a real estate business. We don't do it. We've been told time and time again to do it, and we don't do it. And I think it's something we make up in our head, and we have fear behind it, and you just have to have a good script that you're comfortable with. And just people don't mind. They want to know what we have. They want to know what's going on in the market. Let them know you own a real estate business. They're going to ask you, oh, you do? How's the market?
Beautiful. All right.
Love it. David Squier, question number 3. What holds you back?
Oof.
This is the introspective question.
I can't even think of anything funny, which I normally can. So my seatbelt, ha. No. So what holds me back is, I think, like most people, me. I can get in my head sometimes, and so that is a daily thing. There's some routines that I like to follow, like my morning ritual, which if you hadn't read The Miracle Morning, of course, you need to read The Miracle Morning. Having a morning ritual, that helps me keep my eggs unscrambled and keep a positive mindset. And so just getting out of my head, that being in my head sometimes holds me back. And the other thing that can hold me back is following a perfect week. If I'm off of my perfect week, if I'm off of my routine, I'm not nearly as effective, right? So I have got to constantly remind myself those two things: stay positive, stay out of your head, and follow the system, follow the perfect week, which means I have time blocked in my calendar specific activities that I have to do every single day of every single week. And if I don't do them, I get off track, I'm less productive, and then it can affect and it can start to mess with the mindset. So those two go hand in hand. You got to have a good system, you got to follow a routine, and you got to constantly work on staying positive.
David, do you still have your rolling 20?
I have my rolling 20 right behind this screen. If I one click and I'm looking at it.
Explain what that is, because this is another way that helps you keep priorities and stay organized and stay on track. I love this idea.
It's just a simple way to get stuff done, right? And so we all have reminders in our phone, and we have reminders in our CRM, and we have reminders in everywhere, right? And they're everywhere. Right. So you got to be in your CRM and look at your reminders. So I have a rolling 20 that is just based on tasks. It's not projects. It's pieces of projects or just simple tasks. It's just a simple document. I have it in Google Doc, which is cool because they have a strike through where you can click on the box and it strikes through the thing when you check it off. Right. Yep. It's called a rolling 20 for a reason. It's about 20 items. And again, it's just tasky things. About 20, because I like it because it's at a glance and it's on one page, 20 items, right? If you get more than 20 items, now you got to scroll more. So I like to keep it at 20 is a real healthy range. And in addition to that, if you have much more than 20, you're probably not getting enough stuff done. And if you have much less than 20, you're probably not growing enough. In other words, you're not doing enough things to grow, right? So I like to maintain that 20-ish range, 5 under, 5 over, but that's where I work best. And so if I have a big project that has multiple tasks, I may throw that on there, but in the rolling 20, I'm just checking off the little tasks as they go. And once they're done, boom, the big one's done, right? So it's just tasky stuff. And I love the check marks.
Yep.
I always say celebrate the check marks, no matter how small they are. Celebrate every little check mark, because we feel good when we check something off, don't we?
You betcha.
Follow up on that. Is it personal and business, number one, and number two? Do you keep the check mark things and move them so that you can see, so you're always right in front of that scroll principle? I'm envisioning this because I may go back to this. Go ahead.
Good question. Yes, I do have a personal section and a business section.
Okay.
And so, and by the way, this isn't a planted question. This is Jan and I.
No, because it's like, instead of like having all these things all over my desk, which is where I went back to, instead of having, because it's like, to your point, you have to open the thing where your to-dos are. And if you don't have that habit of doing that, then it's pointless. It's worthless, especially if you're a visual person.
This is always open in the background. Always. It's not even in the background. It's just a tab in Chrome for me.
Yep.
Right?
Got it.
So yes, there is a business and personal section. I recommend that because it's not just the business things we need to check off, because that puts us way out of balance. Right. So we have to, that helps us maintain some sort of balance, right? Or counterbalance, or whatever you call it. Right. So it is business and personal. And the second part of that was, oh, darn it, what was the second question?
Do you move the check marks? You want to see the successes, or do you erase them and just keep 20 going, or what do you do there?
So again, I'd love to celebrate the check marks no matter how small. With that strike through feels really good. It's a sense of accomplishment, even if it's a little thing. And so I am constantly coaching this, saying, celebrate the check marks, no matter big or small, celebrate every check mark. I educate and consult my real estate clients on how many check marks are going to be in a transaction. And I say, look, there's a bunch of check marks in this transaction. Some of them are huge, like the appraisal and the inspection and the request for
that's a great idea.
Some are little tiny check marks, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate every one of those check marks, because every time we check something off, we're one more step towards a successful closing. So we're going to look at those check marks. We're going to celebrate every one of them. So the same thing applies with my agents. Celebrate every check mark. And here's how I tie it in. Because without check marks, there are no paid checks.
That was very David.
Thank you. Take it.
All right.
So Jan, yes, I like to see those accomplishments. So of course, I have a system for it. I leave my checkmarked items on the list until the end of the week, and then I remove them. Starting each week, I'm down to my 20.
Okay, love that.
I get to go long, and then day one in my week, I say, okay, it's a new week. Let's make some check marks.
Love it. That's great.
All right. Love this idea. I love taking it over to getting the buyers and sellers to do that in the form of all the things that are coming next. And did you check off that you got your home insurance? That kind of thing. Love this idea.
That's monstrous. It's so successful. And our clients are educated. It's setting expectations. It's educating them before things happen. It's actually putting fires out before fires start.
That's right.
So top of mind, question 4, what inspires you, or anything, it can be whatever that you might be, inspires you and or you're sharing with others right now, whatever, people, books, just anything.
In my career, I have been inspired by people more so than anything. In my life, I have been inspired by people. It's starting with my parents. My father, I always give my dad credit for, God, I'm going to get teary. Damn. I give my father credit for teaching me so many great talents and things that most kids didn't learn. I always say I can pretty much do anything, build anything, right? And my mother for setting just unbelievable values and just how to be a great person, right? And so I've surrounded myself in my lifetime with great people, and that really has been the biggest reward in my life, is the people I've surrounded myself with. I've learned so much from those people. I've grown so much from those people. I've let some of them down, and that's a big lesson to learn, So definitely I am inspired by the people. You guys, I mean, both of you are a huge part of my life. And I'll just summarize with this. Someone once told me, and she was a boss of mine, and I was leaving that position to go on and do something else. And we had a really good relationship. And she said to me, David, I call this bits and pieces. She said, people come and go in your life. And when someone comes into your life, there's bits and there's pieces, and then maybe they're gone. But some of those bits and pieces stay with you and make up who you are, right? So, so essentially she was saying, you are a huge piece of who I have become. And so I just love that bits and pieces piece, because I believe that the people that have come into my life, even if they're not in my life anymore, were bits or pieces of who I became. And some of those things will never leave me, right? So people definitely.
That's awesome. Love it. Final question on the top five, or ask five, is give your best advice for agents to thrive now and into the future.
So I always say, and Jan, you and I have worked on this with coaching and with training and some of the stuff we've written. You should always look ahead to the future. And I don't know that bulletproof is necessarily the word to use for how we set ourselves up for success in any market, right? So we shouldn't just look at the market we're in right now and focus on today. We should always be focused on the things that will get us through tomorrow, right? Because one thing we know is, was there a different market 6 months ago or a year ago than there is today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there going to be a different market a year from now than there is today?
Absolutely.
Is there anything we can do about it, really?
No, we can adapt to it. We can have a positive attitude about it.
What's the one thing we can control? Us.
How we
react and what we say, right?
Agreed.
So that is that would be my advice, is always look at what will cause longevity in any market in your business. And of course, it goes back to the core basics. Do you have a solid database? And are you growing it every day? Jan, quit smiling. Database. Do you have a database? Are you growing it every day, and are you nurturing it?
Right.
Because that will be, you always say start with the end in mind, Jan, right? Yeah. You always say your database is your exit strategy. It could be your retirement, right? So definitely we have to have that in order, because it is the core of our business. So your database, but do you have good systems in place? Do you have SOPs? Do you have a procedures manual for your business? You own a business. If you owned any other business, you'd have to have a procedure manual. Do you have systems in place that cause your market to excel, or your business to excel in any market? And then lastly, how good are your presentation skills? That's another huge piece, is having powerful presentation skills. You need them. You need them in every market. So that would be my advice, is to outlive any market, is work on those core systems and constantly look at them.
Wow. Okay.
It's a shame you don't have more energy, David. It's kind of a
glad to have you back, friend of the show.
Absolutely.
That was great stuff, man. Good advice. It's exciting. I can feel your energy coming through right here, which, I mean, it was noticeable, David. I just got to tell you, which it means that you're in the right place at the right time for you right now, impacting the lives of others, which I know is your big purpose and mission in life. So well done.
Really good stuff. Hey, David mentioned the morning routine and getting yourself the Agent Perfect Week. Mm-hmm. Be sure you go over to our website and check out our My Path our My Path document, which talks about the morning routine a lot. It has calendars in there. It helps you track your business plan for the year. So if you haven't already been over there to download that, download the My Path over at WBNLcoaching.com over on our freebie page. And then this, of course, was episode 278 of the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where you can find all of the show notes over there at WBNLpodcast.com. All of David's information, more information about CB, and how you can join. And speaking of joining, if you happen to want to go interview with David, and find out what that is all about, go back to our podcast from last week where we came across 40 questions to ask brokers when you go to interview them. So I would, this is just a little side note, David, you better go download that yourself because, people might have 40 questions for you, David.
No, I don't want to know. I'd rather not know it. Right?
Your brokerage was designed to answer.
I don't want to look at those questions.
When I think about the way we wrote that out, because they provide exactly on that list. So very good.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Anything else? Any final words? Well, not final words, but any final words for this podcast?
Find your joy. That's what I'm going to say.
My final word. Thanks for having me, you guys. I love being here. I love being with you. I miss you both.
Yeah, we miss you too. And it's always you always bring something really good to the table, David. So we enjoy that. All right, everyone. Like I just said, all the show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com, episode 278. Until next time, get up, get out, find your joy. Right, Jan O'Brien? There you go. Oh yeah, right there. Right. Wearing the words. That's awesome. And be forever wandering, but not lost.
Bye, y'all.
Ask 5. Okay, I think I have it. All right, ready?
I am.